If you're looking for an iPad experience that is both portable and small, then the iPad mini is your only option. But there are three major issues that you should be aware of. Firstly, the display. It is just unacceptable with the context of the modern market. A 60Hz IPS panel that is only 500 nits. Secondly, the performance of the iPad mini is just not up to par as many people claim it to be. Apple once again is using the unwanted inventory of bin chips inside the mini, resulting in one whole GPU core being missing, which is just not enough to run GPU intensive tasks with this screen resolution. Thirdly, if you're price conscious, then this iPad is going to break the bank, especially at the higher end. If you're coming from an iPad that supports the second generation Apple Pencil, it is not going to work on the iPad mini, which means you're going to need to buy the Pencil Pro, making the price of the mini cost anywhere from $620 to $1,078, which is simply not worth it as there are many excellent alternatives. Now, I'm not saying the display on the mini is horrible. It is far better than the panels found on cheaper laptops and tablets. But for the price, this is just unacceptable. The panel is not only 60Hz, but exhibits severe ghosting and mild jelly. And unfortunately, if you want the iPad mini, this is what you're signing up for. Negatives aside, I personally really enjoy this A5 form factor. Drawing and taking notes on the mini is excellent. However, when you try to do anything else, it is evident that Apple has put no effort to scaling down iPadOS. For example, almost all the touch targets are just too small. A simple setting to make the UI larger is apparently too hard for Apple to incorporate, even though they've done it on the 13-inch iPad. Speaking of larger screens, how about using it with an external monitor? With Apple's new Stage Manager. Wouldn't it be great to have a small powerhouse device that's able just to sit down and get serious? No, Apple has decided to omit Stage Manager on external displays on the mini for no good reason, despite claiming that they've brought it to every iPad. In fact, we know this is possible as we've modded the mini on iPadOS 18.1 to support external displays. However, you'd probably not have a good experience due to the 8 gigs of RAM. Yes, I've said it. 8 gigs of RAM is just not enough for iPadOS, even on the Pros. Especially with the direction iPadOS is going, including advanced multitasking and liquid glass. iApples are soon going to need to handle spectacular reflections and refractions on the home screen. Doing anything intensive will result this display to dim, which is contrary to Apple's marketing. To quote them, the 5-core GPU brings advanced features like hardware-accelerated ray tracing for graphically intense AAA games. And with Zenless Zone Zero being the poster boy, we wanted to test it out. This feels like 30 frames per second for some reason. I know it's not, but it feels that's pretty. Oh, Jesus! We lost some frames. Oh! I get that this is just shader cache lag, which has been an issue on Apple devices for years. But even after that, the frame rate is absolutely abysmal. And combined with the display ghosting and screen dimming, the mini is just not designed for AAA games. If you thought the negatives end there, they don't. Despite being larger than all of our phones, the speakers are just horrible. We looked into iFixit's teardown to figure out why they sound so bad, and we found that the speakers weren't even connected to the speaker holes. All of the sound was coming from the case, not the holes. Normally speakers are placed right up against the exit holes, but Apple has decided to use the iPad's entire chassis as a resonator, which just muffles the sound and ruins the stereo image. But here's the real issue. I can see 3 different consumers for an iPad mini, that being people who want to work, play, or create. If you're getting one for notes and only notes, then sure, it is the only option in this form factor if you want Apple Care Plus and warranty. If you're grabbing one for gaming, then the Lenovo Legion Tab 3 with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is way more graphically powerful, and it's still an 8-inch form factor. It not only has a better screen, but better battery life and 2 USB-C ports for gaming, which is going to be much more comfortable. And if you're creative, then the limiting 8 gigs of RAM is just not enough to give you unlimited creativity. But if you're still not sure what to get, check out our Discord server, where we would be more than glad to help you make an informed purchasing decision so you can have fun with your tech rather than refund.